I'm also looking forward to this Kyle Rudolph sound, and I heard it once this morning when you sent it along to the group, and it reminded me a lot of what I've been saying for a long time, but he said it in a more astute football expertise sort of a way, and I was just fascinated at his breakdown of the fact that he's not surprised that they don't come from behind.
Right. I think you have been saying it for a while, but he also said it from the perspective of, dude, I've been in this.
Exactly.
I've been in this and felt like we can't come from behind because XYZ. Well, here's the XYZ. Here's Kyle Rudolph on Fox Sports Radio last night talking about Kyle Shanahan's 0-38 record. Is it 36, 38, whatever. 0 for everything when down by 8 or more in the fourth quarter.
I think it's more interesting to dive into the 0-38 when trailing by 8 points or more statistic, because that has, in my opinion, that's something that has followed that system everywhere along the way. From Kyle's dad, I played under Gary Kubiak. That system is a system that, I just talked about all of the things that distract a defense that they have going on pre-snap. The wide zone, the stretch run action, the nakeds, the keepers, all of that stuff that goes out the window when you turn into a drop back pass team down more than one score.
Okay, here's his firsthand experience in the system.
Trust me, I've been in that system, in that situation. And when we get down double-digit scores and the other team knows that we have to pass. I remember we played the Niners, actually, in the divisional round. It was January of 2020, but it was the 19 season. And, like Nick Bosa and Dee Ford and Eric Armstead, it was like first-round pick, high-paid rusher, first-round pick. They were arguing over, like, no, I'm not going out. You go out. Like, no, it's my turn, because they knew we had to throw the football. In that system, the drop-back pass game is not the strength of the system. The strength of the system is everything looks the same. You rely on the run game to make the shots happen in the pass game. Guys are all of a sudden running wide open because, linebackers are focused on the run game, or safeties get nosy and you hit them over the top with these big plays.
Okay, we got one more, but he's already sitting there confirming for you something that I have no choice but to potentially call a flaw in the offensive system of Kyle Shanahan. Like, sure, you can be genius play caller. You can confuse the hell out of a defense better than anyone. But if that only works when you're tied and ahead or down by 3 or whatever, if it doesn't work when you fall down by 8 to 10 points in the fourth quarter, well, that's a problem. That's a major problem.
It's only a problem if you can't adapt and adjust. And so far, in the last couple of games, they have been unable to adapt and adjust. And I won't use the Cleveland game as an example because you're down by 1 score. You're able to stick to do what you want to do. You got down in field goal range, and Moody missed the kick, and you lost the game. Yesterday's a little different because you got down by 2 scores, and you have to abandon what you normally do, which he said in his first cut is a lot of the stretch game, the boot off the stretch, the misdirection, the motion, the pre-snap motion, and all the other eye candy, as the experts will call it, in terms of the movement, the pre-snap movement, and you're trying to confuse the defense. Well, if they know you're going to throw it, why do we even go through the rigmarole of all the motions and the shifts and all the rest of it? They know you're going to throw. We know we're going to throw. So now we have to just line up and beat you.
A perfectly timed comment on our YouTube chat. And again, youtube.com/957 The Game. We love chatting with everybody there. Travis Irby, who loves to get on me all afternoon long, just incessantly, Travis. Just want to make sure he knows he's seen and heard. But Travis says the drop back pass isn't the strength because our quarterback isn't a straight drop back type QB. So it's not a strength because of the quarterback. No. Not according to Kyle Rudolph. Travis, would you like a football player to say it instead of me so that you can maybe open up the ears to hear it a little bit better? In other words, is this a flaw in Shanahan's system, or is it because Purdy can't do it?
That worries me a lot more than Brock Purdy trailing at the end of the game and needing to go down the field and get points, because we've seen him do that. Cleveland has one of the best defenses in football, and I'll go back to that last drive in Cleveland in awful weather, wet conditions, and he goes right down the field and gets his team in field goal range for a chance to win the game. So, I have faith in Brock's ability to lead that team down the field, even in a situation where the opposing defense knows it's a pass. I do think there is something to, you're not 0-38 for no reason. There is something to that there.
Oof. I mean,
and what's there is the system more than it is the quarterbacking.
It's not that we didn't know this, but yeah, like you're saying, I mean, this really, this is a thud. This is a hell of a comment by somebody who's, to me, this is coming from somebody who has played in the similar system from the Shanahan coaching tree. And he's telling you that on the field, they felt like they were up a creek if they were down by 2 scores.
Right.
In the fourth quarter, up a creek.
It's because the system, but I also think in this case, it's also because of the personnel. And part of it is because you don't have Debo. So now you're left with Ayuk, Jennings, and Ray McLeod. Ronnie Bell can't even crack the field, and you got George Kittle. George Kittle had 3 big catches, so they're down by 2 scores, and you've got 3 minutes left when he gets the ball back. So this is a little bit of garbage time stat padding. And Brock Purdy had 109 yards passing on those last 2 drives.
Yep.
So when we look at his numbers, we do have to remember that he threw for 360 or whatever
it was, yeah.
109 of it came in the last 2 drives. But if you had more time, you could have seen what they were trying to do, which is use Kittle. Kittle down the middle, Kittle down the seam. They don't have the weapons to be able to sit Brock Purdy back there and go, 1 tight end and 3 receivers or 4 receivers. That's not the way the Shanahan personnel is built. Forget the system and the scheme. We know that he likes to do the fullback, the tight end, the running back, 2 wide receivers. That's his base package. So when you're down by 2 scores, you can't do that anymore. You need more burners. You need more receivers. And I don't think that he trusts these guys to go out there and play.
It's an interesting take. I really it's not where my head has been when I watch these fourth quarters that they, even what you said on the defensive side. I can't believe we're having a conversation about the 49ers personnel. They've got plenty of players. Like, even if I said Juwan Jennings, was he great yesterday? No, he didn't even get a target. But this guy's got a nickname, 3rd and Juwan. We trust this guy to run a big route on 3rd down. Brandon Ayuk's a very good receiver. George Kittle's a great tight end. Christian McCaffrey, I think, is the best back in football. He's got the people. He's got people to complete passes to.
Yes. But when you're down 2 scores, you need to get vertical.
And they did.
You just mentioned a running back, a tight end, and the lone wide receiver.
Well, no. First of all, you have other receivers that can go over the top. They haven't done it very much. It's not like they don't have people that can go out on the field, though. Ronnie Bell, George Kittle is a good vertical option in terms of the tight end. They hit him over the top a few times yesterday. Like, lost in the 2 awful picks are some throws that were breathtaking yesterday.
Yeah.
The guy bought time.
One that hit Ayuk in the face mask.
That too. And we don't talk about stuff like that, which for a wide receiver is kind of like a pick. Like, that's the mistake you can make.
Right.
Have the ball hit you in the face and not get your hands up and catch the ball. Kittle had a drop yesterday in the red zone.
Cost me a fantasy win.
Did it really?
I lost by 2 points, Mark.
Good Lord.
That's 1 point per catch, and that one went for about 10 yards. That would have been enough.
Unbelievable.
I'm just saying, in terms of the personnel, it may be that they don't have the personnel, or it may be that he doesn't trust the personnel.
You talking about Brock or Kyle?
I'm talking about Kyle.
Okay.
I'm talking about when you're down by 2 scores and you need to go 3 and 4 wide receivers. Ronnie Bell played 5 snaps yesterday, and that was at the very end of the game.
Yeah.
Ray McLeod got 2 targets and 2 catches, including the last play of the game, which wouldn't have counted if Cincinnati would have given a crap. There was a penalty on the play, but they declined it because the game was over. And Ray went for, I think, 40 on that one. And it was, I think, ineligible, a man downfield, whatever it was.
Yep.
in a real game, that play gets called back. But Kyle doesn't trust these guys to go 4 wides and put Ray and Ronnie along with Jawan and Brandon Ayuk with Debo out. So I do think it's a personnel issue in terms of what Kyle trusts.
Yeah, I mean,
Shanahan, not Rudolph.
Yeah, Kyle's trust has always sort of been a focus, and it's shocking to me, or surprising at least, that 8 games in, we're having this conversation, because 3 weeks ago and throughout Purdy's tenure, it's felt like that's what we've been able to shake that. In other words, it felt like Kyle Shanahan finally had an offense and a quarterback he trusted. And I do still think he does. Certainly more than his predecessor. By the way, if you want to signal to everybody that you're just kind of trying to poke the bear, go ahead and say Brock Purdy's Jimmy Garoppolo. Oh, we're right back. It's Jimmy. Good Lord. No, you don't think that, do you? You don't think this looks like Jimmy Garoppolo just because there have been a couple of interceptions?
No, the second interception reminded me of Jimmy Garoppolo.
That's fine. I mean, interceptions are bad.
I know, Mark, but they're not all created equally.
But Pat threw 2 of them yesterday and scored 9.
Brock Purdy has not had that kind of an interception in a long time, ever.
That's true.
That was a classic Jimmy G. I look right, and I'm coming back to the middle. Boop. I mean,
he got duped.
That one reminded me of Jimmy G. That's all I'm saying.
I hear you, but I do not find them to be similar players at all in terms of their production, their legs, their ability to see the field, think their way through a game. I'm not in that spot at all. All right, for your chance to play a game, we're going to go to the phones here in just a sec, but if you want to play a game of Knockout at Chase Center, make sure you're listening for the next 15 minutes when we play this sounder. When you hear that, we're going to ask you a question. Don't call now. Here they come. You can't win. Don't call now. When you hear that sounder again, it means we're about to ask you a question about something that we've said over this next coming 15 minutes. That's when you'll call the contest line. And if you're the first to answer correctly, you win your way right in. Knockout at Chase Center. Again, what you're going to have to do right now is not call, it's listen. So put your phones down, open your ears, because if you're calling right now, you're not going to hear what you need to hear in order to win. So lock in, Dub Nation, over the next 15 minutes, because the question will be about something that is said on this show over the next 15.
That's exciting.
Okay? All right. Can't wait to get our first winner. But right now, let's get back out to the phones to Mike in Santa Clara. Hi, Mike. You're on with Willard and Dibs.
Gentlemen, how are you doing?
We're great, buddy.
Yeah, it's been a while. I haven't talked to you in a few months. So, I had a few things to want to talk about. The first thing I wanted to talk about is the offensive scheme is I've noticed that, and they even said it on the broadcast and everything, I have to agree with them. They're stacking like 5 DLs against the line, and especially with no Trent Williams. Even if Trent Williams was there, maybe it makes it a little bit better. But they need to focus on the run game a little bit more. And Kyle he had a couple of play-action plays, but then he got away from it. And I'm not saying go play action every time, but, we need to focus on the run game with you have the best running back in the league. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the defensive scheme. It was a couple callers ago. He said that we look very basic, and I agree. We look very basic. And when you just paid Bosa all that type of money and everything, put some schemes in there or something different. I know he's more of an edge rusher at this point, but you need to work with the outside linebacker, if not Fred Warner in there somewhere, put some schemes in there. And then the last thing I wanted to say was and again, a couple callers ago, I'm not saying get a shutdown corner, but we do need a better corner. And look, my personal preference would be I would love to trade for Patrick Surtain, but it's not going to happen.
I don't know how available.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, Mike, thank you. I don't know how available Patrick is. I do think if you want something that's a little bit more realistic right now, Jalen Johnson from the Chicago Bears, their left corner is somebody who I do. There are reports out there the Niners are poking around. I don't think it's going to be terribly expensive either. You're not talking about any first or second rounders.
And he's in his walk year, too, I believe. He's a free agent at the end of this year.
Which is why he's probably, that's why he's available. So, something like that I do think is possible, and I don't think that it would be a bad idea. I also don't think, again, this is not, for me, we're not at fireable offense stuff with Steve Wilks. I think the guys are out of sync. I think they're out of sync. Why? I don't know. But schematically right now, the coverage schemes and the pass rush are not working in concert with one another. And that's the kind of thing. And we've watched the 49ers do this in the past where, as quickly as they lost their flow here, they can get it back. But they got to it just feels like a group that's all not on the same page.
I agree with that, but I do think that the group needs to get better. You need upgrades. And the Patrick Surtain conversation is a non-starter. According to many sources, the Broncos want more than what Patrick Ramsey commanded, which was 2 firsts and a fourth. So that price to me is going to be too steep. That's going to be a no from me, dog, in terms of 2 firsts and a fourth. Yes, he's a good corner and somebody who could absolutely upgrade your defense, but you don't want to sacrifice too much of your cap flexibility going forward and give up that much draft capital, even though, F them picks, I believe was what Jonathan said earlier today. I don't know if Shanahan and Lynch are quite in that mode, especially knowing that you're going to need a left tackle here in the near future.
Kyle Shanahan did address, by the way, where Steve Wilks sits during the game.
Like physically or figuratively?
No, like in the
where
booth,
he actually sits.
in the booth or on the field.
Oh, okay.
This whole thing, this came up.
Oh.
Kyle addressed it.
Oh, sit.
He didn't blow it off. Quote, that's something that we'll discuss this week, just the two of us. If that's something that he thinks would help him, we'll definitely try. End quote.
Interesting.
So he did not give the, let me educate you. It doesn't matter where he's sitting. That's stupid. His play calls are his play calls. He didn't do that. He said that's something we're going to talk about this week. So you may see Steve come down to the field.
Yeah, I
don't know.
I don't know how much that will help. If Steve is more comfortable sitting up in the booth, if he thinks he can do his job better, then you're going to ask him to come down on the sideline. And, to me, if he thought that he could do his job better on the sideline, he'd be on the sideline.
Well, but Kyle says he's going to leave it up to him. At least that's what that sounds like.
Yeah.
If you think this will help, then we'll definitely try. But he also said we're going to talk about it. So he didn't, again, he gives it some credibility. It's a conversation.
Well, everything has to be a conversation. And the conversation starts with, what the heck, Steve? What happened to your defense? I mean,
why do you stink so bad?
Why is your defense playing so badly?
Yeah.
Is it you, Steve? Is it your scheme? Is it your players? Are you not motivating the guys, Steve? You could tell me, Steve. Look at me.
Steve.
Look at me and stuff. Stevie. Steve, what is it? It's not me. It's you. Wait, it's not you. It's me. That's what I meant to say, Steve. Steve.
Let's go to Mike in Hayward. I wish the next caller's name was Steve. Hi, Mike. What are you doing?
Well, I was thinking while I was watching the game the other day when they went to start more play action passes. Shanahan, I ain't ever really been that crazy.
Whoop. Did we lose him? Gone. Oh, man. Mike,
he was about to swear until he dumped himself.
He was about to keep it real as far as Kyle's play calling.
I like when Mike keeps it real.
But then he was gone.
The play call that I had issue with was 3rd and 1, opening drive. You try to get cute and give it to Juszczyk on the fullback dive.
Did you want a quarterback sneak?
No, I wanted something where maybe we get the ball to the best running back in football and let him eat.
They just tried that.
Right. They tried to get cutesy-pootsy, as my dad used to say, the late, great Dwayne Dibley.
They just ran him, and he got stuffed.
And so then you went cutesy-pootsy, and you tried to give it to the fullback, and he got stuffed. And now you got to bring on Wisnowski. And I do need to put this on the record, too, because there are 3 phases of football, and the special teams yesterday were not good. You score a touchdown to tie the game at 7, and the resulting kickoff, they run it back to damn near midfield.
Yep.
Mitch Wishnowsky, you had to punt, I think in the second half, 4th and 1 from about midfield, and he barely got the ball inside the 20. It was a net gain of about 30 yards. You can't have that in your special teams. They weren't special, Mark. The teams were not special.
Jake Moody made all of his kicks.
Attaboy.
He did almost kick one kickoff out of bounds, and he got saved by the returner who decided to catch it and ran to the 15. I'm like, oh, that guy's not going to enjoy film study. That one's not going to go well for him at all.
Ray had a return, too, where he barely got across the 10.
Yeah, exactly. Although that was more middle of the field. He didn't have as much of a choice on it.
You can fair catch it.
You could.
Fair catch, you get it at the 25 mark.
This is a true story. You know those rules, don't you, Dibs?
I love those rules.
Hey, Dennis. Dennis in the city. What's up, Dennis? What are you doing?
What's up, guys? What am I doing? I'm watching NFL Network right now while I'm listening to you guys.
Okay.
I'm looking at Cynthia Freeland. I like watching her.
All right, Dennis. Thanks.
That wasn't creepy at all, Dennis.
Thanks for just putting that on the air. Everybody knows all about you.
Old man. Well,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm a dirty old man. What could I say?
Yeah.
But anyway, I just think the deal with. Yeah, hey, I'm an older guy. I'm a lot older than you guys, so what the hell? Anyway,
who are you trying to impress? Am I right?
Yeah.
All right, Dennis. Dennis, what do we got? Because we got to hustle.
What we got is a defense that can't get off the field. And like what you were mentioning earlier is they're running right up the middle. And the defensive tackles have been non-existent. And that's really concerning. And I don't know if it's the scheme or what, but we had a defense last year that was number one that used to give our offense the ball back all the time. Now we can't get off the field. So obviously Wilkes has a problem with whatever scheme he's running because they look like they're out of position. Not only the defensive tackles are non-existent, you don't see the linebackers either. They're running the ball right up the middle, 5, 10, 8 yards.
They're getting gashed. Yeah, Dennis, thank you so much. We got a boogie.
Dennis, thank you.
Updating that poll, 84.6% of the respondents think the defense is a bigger issue than the offense. I know it's fancy on social media to yell about Purdy, but you 49er fans know what the bigger issue right now. It's on the defensive side of the football.